following on from my lovely friends over here, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about TACKERS, thank you, which is an international camp for children that have organ and bone marrow transplants, and how we actually get the kids to come. So there we see a group from TACKERS. It's a non-profit organisation that works under the umbrella of Swiss Transplant, which is the national foundation in Switzerland for organ donation and transplantation. Next year we'll be hosting our 16th camp, and they're for children aged from 8 to 15. So Phoebe actually comes to camp, but she doesn't sleep in camp yet, but she will when she's bigger, won't you, Phoebe? Yeah. This is the camp site. This is the Chalet Chamusser. We've been doing these camps since 2002, and we've had 35 countries to date from around the world in the Swiss ski resort where I actually live, which has a village of like 500 people in it. And when you think of skiing, you think of people that are used to skiing, but no, we've had 35 countries and counting. So we supply everything for the kids. We have their ski clothes, we have their ski instructors. So people that have never even seen the snow before often come and visit camp. And here we have some photos from Libya. And at the bottom there, the lady on the right is a transplant coordinator from Libya who came in little leather shoes and was slipping all over the place in the snow. And there we have Aziz from Tunisia, who was great with the press. And we have Star from South Africa, who a few years after his visit to our village, I was standing at the World Transplant Games in Bangkok on the start line for the mini marathon, and this gorgeous young man said to me, "Hi Liz, how are you?" And I said, "Well, do I know you?" And it was Star who'd grown up, and I have to say got first place in his category. So how do we run the camp? So it's a bit of a mixture. These people here in the orange and grey jackets are counsellors from a company called Viamond that organise weeks for skiing for international schools from all over the world. So it's a very structured team that is very necessary when you're working with about 50 kids from around the world who've had organ transplants. So we need a lot of structure, and we use this company to look after our children. And these counsellors come from Australia, Canada, all over the world, and they're all cool dudes, which is very necessary because, of course, it's very difficult to get children to come and do sport, any children. So there's got to be the cool dude factor, and that's our cool dude factor. And then, of course, we have volunteers, and unfortunately this morning Lynn Holt isn't here, but Lynn is our head nurse, and we have 5 nurses from around the globe. We often have a nurse from Israel, we have nurses from King's, Great Ormond Street, all different countries, and who are specialist transplant pediatric nurses. It's very nice as well for our surgeons to see all kinds of doctors that come, and actually they're not seeing them in clinic, they're seeing them rolling around having fun in the snow. And this lady transplanted most of our Swiss livers, and she says here, clinically I knew they were doing well, but here I can see their skiing, their pleasure skiing. It's magnificent. And I have to say, Nigel Heaton has only missed 1 camp in 16 years. And then, of course, we need volunteers with language skills because we have all different kinds of languages. So sometimes we have a volunteer come along to do the translating, or we find one that we import. Club Med, we've all maybe been to Club Med on holiday, but this is a different kind of Club Med. It's Club Medication, and we see little Andrea Barrett here, a little transplant recipient receiving her medication, and this nurse in particular has a beard. This is our bearded nurse. You've never met him, have you? No. And we do workshops, for instance. This is a workshop on medication, and this was a brilliant thing said by a young girl. "My body is my castle, and my organ is the new king. My drugs are the soldiers that fight those who wish to overthrow the king." It's simple, because as some of you know, when the kids are growing up, what they don't want to be is different, and they don't want to be taking medication. And it's a very difficult moment when they're in transition from being treated in or looked after in pediatrics, and they go over to adults. So this transition is very, very important, and they have to be very aware of how important their drugs are. We do all sorts of sports, not only skiing and snowboarding, and because Roger Moore's on board with us, we had to have a photo of him in the presentation. So we do these James Bond sports. We've done flying in light aircraft, fencing, scuba diving. Not so James Bond, there we've got Aaron from Scotland in his armbands, not looking too cool there, but at least they held him out of the water. Obviously snowboarding, dog sledding, and we do beauty and massage sometimes for the girls. And this is one of the favourite evenings, that's fancy dress. Now, if I'd have known you were going to be here, I would have put some photos of you in fancy dress in there, because you had a beautiful outfit last time, didn't you? And basically, the message is, don't worry, be happy. It's all about having fun. We're not in hospital, and you can do as you please. If you don't want to ski, you don't go skiing. It's about making friends. And basically, all my kids just want to be normal. This is a young girl. She was transplanted when she was 5 days old, so she's very pleased to have a certificate from the Guinness Book of Records as the youngest baby ever to have a liver transplant, but I think she's been beaten since then. She's now about 17, so she went paragliding. Now, I need to click on that. It's a little message of support from one of the kids.
Molly, we'll have a chat. You know what? You're skiing like this. Bravo.
It's very important for them to, you know, look after each other, and that's something is very important for us, for them to all sort of be a team. This, of course, would all not be possible without our donor families, and the gentleman in the white hair, that was the very first camp we organised in 2001. And he is the father of Nicholas Green, and we decided to organise our race in memory of his son, Nicholas, who died in 1994. 7 people received transplants from Nicholas, and now all those people are still alive and doing well. And 10 years later, we invited him back, and there he is, looking very happy. But I'd like you to take note of these little people in the front, and the little boy looking at Nicholas's father. This is him when he was a baby, a very, very sick little baby. There's the photo we saw before. There we see Gaëtan competing in athletics, and there we see Gaëtan, who was about to tour around Switzerland on his bicycle, aged 20 now, and a very, very responsible, proud young man, proud of his donor, and proud to represent organ donation. And we are very proud of him. So he's like, he came out of the TACKERS Academy, if you like. Of course, we have young ladies like Phoebe who have come to TACKERS and are looking forward to coming and sleeping in camp, because you're a bit young, and very soon you'll be sleeping in camp. And then we've got the people that have been to TACKERS and then come back as volunteers. Pierre came in 2002 as a child, and he has since come as a volunteer. He's since got married, and he's since had a beautiful little boy. And Cynthia, she came to the very first camp as well, and she made lots of friends. Social media is wonderful for this, because they can all keep in contact with each other. And that didn't really exist in the beginning. We didn't have Facebook and all the other things we've had since then, but now we've got a huge TACKERS community. And Cynthia actually came and worked for me in my sports shop, and she's the same age as my daughter, so they've known each other since they were 10. And they're still really good friends. And Cynthia decided, because of Lisa Beaumont, that Leslie Ann was talking about, that she wanted to be a play specialist. And she is now in the UK and working as a play specialist, helping kids in hospital. So what are the key elements to our success? Because it is difficult to get kids to come and do sport, even kids that haven't had transplants. Everyone's so lazy these days. Well, our PRs, one of them sitting here. Would you like to show them your sweatshirt? Lovely, front and back. Yes, back for you. Thank you very much. And as I said before, Facebook is very important. National games are important, because the kids can come and meet each other again at national games. There are kids here that know each other from games, so they can meet up again. And then, of course, the World Transplant Games, because I do have a World Transplant hat, as I'm the Secretary of the World Transplant Games Federation, which I'm obliged to mention. Also, the medical professionals. We've got a gang, but I've never met you ladies from King's before, but we have people from King's that have been sending us children for a long time. We've got people from Leeds. We've got people in France. We've got people in all these countries around the world that I have met through meetings like this and IPTA meetings, ESOT meetings. What's really important, though, is that there is no pressure on the kids to be fabulous performers. A lot of them have never seen the snow before, and some of them are absolutely rubbish skiers. So what? Doesn't matter. It's all about having fun. And anyone can win the race at the end because we have an opening racer, and then the kids have to guess how much or how much less time, depending on how the opener skis, we might choose you next time, they take to get down. So anyone can win, even the worst skier, and even if they go down on their bottom on a plastic bag. Involving transplant peers, that's important. It's important for them to see that you know, there is a future for them, and having the kids that have, and there's another child from King's actually, who's no longer a child, she's about 25, who'll be one of our volunteers next winter. Focusing on the bonkers element. The bonkers element is exceedingly important. You've got to be ready to get up and do karaoke. You have to come to the fancy dress. Anyone who doesn't come to fancy dress in fancy dress will receive an outfit from our box of fancy dress costumes. So you've got to be warned, and we've put some transplant physicians in some dreadful costumes. And then normally no parents. The kids stay in camp. If parents come, and on the whole parents don't come, they have to stay out of camp, and they can come and join in certain things, but they can't just turn up every day and hang around, because that ruins the whole point. Because we want our children to fly with their own wings and get away from this being treated like you're made out of glass. And well, the continuation is important. We have a lot of volunteers that come every year, and we use the same people. So we're like a team. We don't even have to say something to each other. We look at each other and like, okay. And I think that's important, because when you're breaking your teeth, in the beginning it was very difficult. And now, I won't say it just runs itself, but it's much, much easier than in the beginning. I talked a little bit yesterday about the World Transplant Games new initiative, Fit for Life. And I think this is something very important for our children going on, who are going to grow up. We want them to keep fit and healthy. We want this transplanted organ to keep going for as long as possible. So the Fit for Life initiative is designed to help transition recipients from a life of sedentary and protective behavior immediately post-transplant to a full and active life centered on physical activity and organized sport. Well, the benefits, we've been talking about this for 2 days really. I think we really know what they are. Improved mental well-being derived from physical activity, sport in a team environment. Reduced obesity amongst recipients. Improved physical ability and muscle tone. Overall improved health equals greater long-term management of transplant. Creation of a new worldwide communications channel to deliver other important information, such as medication compliance. But it's something that actually applies to the whole community, transplanted or not. So this is our plan ahead, and the Fit for Life initiative will be launching at the Transplantation Society meeting in Hong Kong in August. I won't read through all of that, but you can see highlighted the key points of what we're aiming for. But our mantra, in short, more transplant recipients, more active, more often. You're going to keep active? Yeah. You're going to keep moving? Yeah. Great. So there we are. We've done a little tour of TACKERS. Merci, as I live in French-speaking Switzerland. And there you go. If you have any questions, go ahead. Thank you.